streaming is starting up, not live. It'll be up in just a second.
How y'all doing today?
Good, man. Turning into a nice day outside.
Yeah, finally.
Get some good weather.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Texas so bipolar.
It's the only state where you can run through 4 seasons
in 1 week. Yeah, shit, 1 day. Yeah, exactly.
I saw this funny meme one time. You know, we're from here, and it was like 20 degrees one day, and it's snowing the next day.
Yeah.
85 the next week, and it said, "Texas, you're drunk," and it showed the weather like
Yeah.
Yeah. We're live. We're live. All right. We're here with Cameron Kelly from San Diego State. He's a cornerback that's getting ready for his NFL process here at APEC. We just want to check and see what the thought process was for coming to APEC, you know, from where you're at out in California. What drove you here?
I'm actually from Dallas, Texas, from North Dallas. I went to high school in Wiley. So,
he's a Wiley kid.
Yeah, so I wanted to be close enough to my parents, but far enough so they can't, like, hound me, you know, be all over me. So, I mean, an hour away being in Fort Worth was a great position for me. And my dad had come out to the facilities while I was out in California still and, like, checked out MJP and XOs, and he thought that APEC would be the best fit for me.
So you've played a little bit of safety, a little bit of corner. You've played all over the place, and it converted you, you know, I guess halfway through, right?
Yes, sir.
Where do you feel most comfortable playing?
I feel most comfortable really anywhere. You know, wherever a team wants me, like really wherever they think I fit best in their scheme. You know, I played safety my first 3 years and then got moved to corner my last year. But in high school, I played a little bit of corner. So I just feel comfortable playing defensive back, to be honest.
So you got your combine invite.
Yes,
that
sir.
One had to be pretty exciting, right?
Yes, sir. Most
to be able to get that.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on being able to go to that? And you know, the combine is where millions are made. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, truthfully, it really is. It's so important. But what's your thoughts on how much importance we put on 1 day of testing, and it might be in total 12 tests that we do as far as the runs and the lifts, compared to 4 years of tape?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's kind of hit or miss. You know, you go out there, and if you perform good, you can make yourself money, and if you don't perform good, it might hurt you, but at the same time, you still kind of have that film to back you up. So, you know, I just want to kind of add on to my film what I did the past 4 years, and hopefully be able to boost myself up the draft board.
So here, what are we doing as far as 40 prep? Because I know that's the one thing that all of DBs, it's all 40.
Yeah.
But you know, you look at film, and I would label you a big time athlete. That's what I would label.
Yes, sir.
Big time athlete. And it seems like that was what you really were coming out of high school, right? Was just really listed as athlete.
Yes, sir.
And you had to choose a position.
Yes, sir.
So to move to the DB. So what about the 40 time that we're working on here as far as getting that improved for the combine?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to get it down low as possible, you know, working on my start because I have good top end speed, but, you know, my start is really what I've been struggling on, at least when I first got here. So working with Bobby and Tony, you know, these guys have been perfecting my first 3 steps and really getting that momentum going so I can get into my top end.
And one thing they mentioned before on a previous person we spoke with was that they really focus on flexibility here, flexibility and mobility, and that was something, you know, we're talking dinosaur age when I was around that we didn't really think about.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was just a straight line.
I mean, and in school, I mean, we've kind of worked on flexibility, but, you know, you don't really have that much time. Time is limited. So here, you know, we have time all day. You know, we don't go to school and stuff like that. So now you have the time to kind of be at home and stretch and actually be able to focus on flexibility instead of having to focus on practice or school or being able to go to tutoring and stuff like that.
So one thing that we focus on as a group mainly is the running back position. So tell me a little bit, Rashad, about your I'm sure your friend, I guess.
Oh, that's like my best friend. We were roommates for 3 years.
Tell me a little bit about it then.
He's a great guy. He's really one of the most humble guys I've ever met. Every time he gets interviewed, he turns it on everybody but himself. He always gives his O-line credit because he knows that he wouldn't be anything without his O-line. And he's come from a kind of a rough background, so being able to see him flourish and, you know, I kind of attached to his side like my freshman year, and me and him kind of just stuck through everything together. So.
Okay. And then as far as competing, give me the one guy that you thought was the most challenging player to play against in college.
Probably Bryce Love. You know, he's real shifty. He's real patient, and he kind of hides behind those big Stanford linemen. So, you know, when you're picking which hole you want to shoot through, you got to be real careful that he's actually going to be there and not in another one.
Right.
So I got you down as playing really physical.
Yes, sir.
And you play those 2 positions, cornerback and safety. Which one do you prefer playing on field and being physical?
I mean, it's a little easier to be physical at corner, you know, because you're coming down from the outside in, and they really can only cut up outside. You have the sideline to help you. So when you're playing safety, you have to kind of really line people up perfectly because, you know, if you miss or if you miss too far right, they can just cut up left. If you miss too far left, they can cut up right. So when you play on the right side of the corner, if you miss too far left, they can't really go anywhere. They're going to hit the sidelines. So I feel like it's easier to just kind of come up from 5 yards and just, it's just split-second decisions. The safety, you kind of have to really be careful and have to, like, make sure you break down at the right time and stuff like that.
So one more question that I just thought about was, I know here we're really focused on, fundamentals, right? Fundamentals of everything.
Yes,
but as far as, have you got out with any of the guys here and actually done, like, compete, like, actual one-on-ones? Because I thought it would be a really good process because of, Richie's here and Kiki's here.
Yeah, exactly.
That are going to be difficult matchups for slot, just to do their quickness because of your physical size, but you can put a lot of pressure on them. Just what your thoughts were on seeing that in action.
We haven't done any one-on-ones, but I go out there and when D-Rob is training all the receivers, I go out there and I kind of watch, try and see what they're trying to do and kind of put it in my own game and be like, okay, but when they get to the top of the route, this is something they like to do. So find tendencies and stuff. And Richie's my roommate, so we kind of help each other out. So we sit there and talk about what Clay Mack taught me and what D-Rob taught them, so we kind of can just help each other out, stuff like that.
So when a receiver's running their route and you're defending, are you reading a book? Like, are you reacting, or do you have something in mind that's going to happen based on the play?
Yeah, it kind of depends on down and distance, stuff like that. But, if I'm playing off, I kind of like to look at quarterback 3-step. That'll tell me the first thing. So automatically, if they get past the 3-step, I know it can't be a hook or a slant or a quick out route. So I know it's something more intermediate or something deeper. So then at that point, I'm getting my eyes on the receiver. And if his head's down, more than likely he's really trying to get down the field. So I kind of start getting my pedal, getting ready to open up. And if he kind of starts coming up at the top of his route, I know I need to get ready to start breakdown and stuff like that. And most of the time when people stem, like a lot in their routes, they're really running something that's going to break off and not something straight. So I kind of pay attention to stuff like that. And like you said, I was an athlete in high school. I played a lot of receiver. Like my senior year, I played really nothing but receiver. So I kind of, remember what I used to do and what I like to do to DBs and kind of help myself with that. So.
Good. I appreciate your time, Cameron.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Good luck to you, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You guys got to do both sides. How's it going? I got a little talk in my hair. I hope it's not too bad.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
What's your name?
Jeremy Reeves.
Jeremy Reeves.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You talking trash to your buddy over there.
Oh, of course. Yeah, he's a San Diego State guy.
Yeah.
You got to talk a little trash to him. We beat him twice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we played them my sophomore year. They weren't in the rankings that year, but we played out there. We beat them in I think it was like a fourth quarter thriller. And then they came to us when they were ranked number 19th my junior year. And we played against each other, and we ended up beating them pretty bad that game. So it was kind of funny because when he came out here, we met and it was like, hey man, what's your name? He was like, okay. I was like, where'd you play at? He was San Diego State. I was like,
oh no.
Yeah. Like, hey. I was like, yeah, South Alabama, nice to meet you. It's kind of funny now because we're boys now, so it's funny.
Okay, so we're here with Jeremy Reeves from South Alabama. Like you mentioned, they did defeat San Diego State twice. So what's your thoughts on coming out here from a smaller school and getting to compete with some of the guys that were FBS and just seeing where you line up, because we live on one world where we're playing FCS,
right.
And then we come up here and we just, I think a lot of times a lot of people will think, oh, it's this huge jump, but in reality it may not be.
Right, it's a process. I tell that to a lot of guys, just trust the process. Everybody is good at this level. If you're playing Division I football, you're a good football player. Some guys just got better looks than others. So just trust your process. And when you get your opportunity against those guys, take full advantage of it. That's what I did at Senior Bowl. I got my opportunity against some of the guys that were considered the best in the country, and I seized the moment.
So speaking of Senior Bowl, how was that experience just in Mobile for the week and get along with those guys and really competing against top-end talent, just seeing how that was going to work out?
It was awesome. That was a dream come true for me. I'm from Pensacola, Florida.
Oh, okay.
I played ball in Mobile. I played at South Alabama. Lab People Stadium was my home stadium.
Okay.
So that was a home game for me. So all my ex-teammates and all my old coaches and everybody got to come see me. And then, like you said, I got to play against the best guys in the country. And I got to see where I matched up. Because that was the biggest thing for me. I came in that week saying, okay, I know what kind of football player I am. But I didn't see these guys every week. I saw them every couple of weeks. So where do I stand with these guys right now? And I came in and I executed like I wanted to, and I left on a good note. But it was definitely exciting. It's fun because when you're a football player, you love the competition side of it.
So on the Senior Bowl, a lot of people put a lot of stock in Senior Bowl.
Right.
But truthfully, as far as defensive players, it's an extremely vanilla environment. There's Your
Right.
defense that you're running is like, really basic.
Right.
So I would put a lot more stock into actual practice.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and I thought that you did really well in that.
Right.
But going forward, as far as the next couple months,
Right.
what are some things that you think you can improve on here that's going to make you, get drafted for one and get drafted higher than you thought?
I think everybody wants to see, can I run? That's the big question. Every scout, every
For any smaller school guy, that's always
exactly.
the question.
They want to see, okay, this kid put on 15, 20 pounds in a year. Can he run with it? Can he run good with it? Is he smooth with it? So I've been working with the best DB coach in the country, Clay Mack. Me and him have been doing a lot of hip stuff, and he's really been, toning my skills down and bringing that stuff out of me that I didn't get in college, because you don't have time. And so then working with Bobby and the staff here, they're really helping me with my 40 start. I'm a guy that I can kick in the top end really quick, but the start, because I'm not a 6'2" guy, my steps aren't as long as everybody else's. So they've been helping me with that. Just telling me to trust the process, like I said, trust the process and learn each day, learn something, get better every day. Don't come here and be stagnant while you're here. Get better each day.
Love it.
So you and Cam Kelly have a similar background where
Right.
you switched positions.
Right.
And he was all conference, all Sun Belt in cornerback and at safety.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you think that makes you more dynamic, or is that a different indication of who you are as an athlete?
I think that shows my versatility. I played everywhere in the back end. I played nickel, I played corner, I played safety. I played everywhere. So when scouts turn on the tape, they're like, okay, man, this kid can play anywhere in the back end. It shows my versatility. It shows that I'm not afraid to go and get in the slot or go outside and press the number one or come get in the box and hit the run. So it definitely shows my athleticism as well, but it shows that I'm flexible enough to play anywhere in the back end.
Love it. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. No, no problem. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Good, good.
Good.
Sorry, my hands
Oh,
are
you're full-time.
dirty. Yeah.
You can give us a quick introduction.
Yeah. Let's see. Got lots of notes, but we'll keep them short. So
Sure.
you got a lot of good tape, man.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
You really do.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so we're here with Malik Jefferson from Texas. He's getting ready for his NFL Combine visit here pretty soon, right? And we're here at Apex Performance Center, and he's getting better every day. We're just going to talk to him about this process that he's going through, and what his thoughts are going into the Combine that he needs to. What are some things that you think that you might need to work on the most out here?
Just showing, my flexibility and how I can move has been one thing that I've been focusing on, and just being more flexible and showing how versatile I would be when I get there on the football field. Showing how good I am as a DB and as a linebacker. Just showing how fluent I am as a player, just in general. And I think that's one of the main things I'm focusing on.
Okay. So a lot of people will always, whenever you're looking at scouting, it always turns to, at some point it's, okay, this guy's great, and then everybody starts picking everything apart. So
Correct.
it's always looking for the negative. What's your thoughts on a lot of people pointing to, he regressed and he did this and this, whenever you look at your actual film and your stats and they've improved. So it's like, your defense improved. That's one thing that really takes me back, and I've talked to Kuna about that too, is, the first 2 years I thought the defense, obviously you could have improved. And then last year you really did improve. So yes, everybody improved, which means that maybe your film didn't show and shine as it did before, because you're not having to dominate like everybody else did.
Exactly, and I think last year the scheme was a little bit for other people in the defense. I wasn't getting much shine as a freshman year. Nobody knew me freshman year, so I was just out there playing and having fun. Sophomore year, people started to figure me out, started playing against me. That's when I had a tough time, because I really had to learn the fundamentals of playing inside backer.
Yeah.
I had a tough time doing that. This year, defense was really wasn't supposed to be at the beginning of the year. It was for me, and then when I moved to the Mac position, I was at the Rover, the weak side. When I went to the Mike position, it was supposed to be a lot tougher. But coached his scheme really well and made sure that his best players were always around the ball. We actually had Deshaun Elliott as our free hitter and our free safety in the back. He had free range to do whatever he wanted to. That's the type of things we created up front with Puna. He'd take on 2 or 3 blocks. It was easy for us to see gaps. So our coach worked with what he saw in the field and his talent, and that's what made us so successful this year. We were able to tell each other where the ball was going. The game was so much faster, easier for us. We slowed it down on our own because of the scheme and the things we did.
So from someone that went from edge to inside, where do you just feel like you play best at? What's the number one position we think we want to go for?
Honestly, at this point, I think I can go anywhere. Wherever a team needs me, I think that's going to be the biggest thing for me, is just knowing that I have those two switches in the back of my head. Wherever they need me, I'll be. And, and that's why I'm trying to work on my flexibility and show my versatility inside and outside, if that's a role I need to play.
So my comp for you is this, and let's just see where you think about it, is people label this guy an athletic player, but I thought he was very athletic. He just didn't run well. But a more athletic Brandon Spikes. And I'll tell you why. Because you have that innate ability just like he did, where you time snaps really well, for one. And I'm sure you work on that. It's something you have to really work on. Where you're coming forward and you're gone. You're past the guard before you can even make a move because you're anticipating snaps. And Brandon was elite at that as well. So where's some guys that you look at in the NFL that you think, yeah, you know what, I play like that?
Not necessarily play like, but try to play like. I look at my two guys from Texas, Jordan Hicks and Derek Johnson. Yep. They're very good inside backers, been very solid. They both had injuries, but they both played very solid. When I look at the outside aspect, I looked at like Khalil Mack role or a Von Miller role,
sure,
and how they use those guys and how they changed the game basically, and how much pressure those guys put on the offenses, and it's impressive.
So what's the thoughts on, because you're in a position where, I mean, the truth is, your combine is going to determine millions of dollars, right? I mean, that's just the truth. The truth is, it could vault you sky high, okay, if you run well, because everybody loves all your athleticism and they think it's going to be great. So what's the thoughts on being prepared for that before you get there, and being prepared mentally for all these questions coaches are going to ask you, and all these crazy things scouts are going to say about you? What's your thought process on that before we get there?
I mean, I've heard it all. My father's my worst critic, and he's telling me every day never told me after the game how good I played. So, it's not gonna hurt my feelings when somebody has something critical to say about me. I'm just gonna take it with a grain of salt and answer the question, because I feel like sometimes you got to be truthful too, and I feel like this is something that a lot of people are going to want to know how I'm gonna react, and I'm gonna be the same person I've always been, because I've been taught that way, and what my dad is teaching has made me a lot stronger as a young man. And so just being ready, as far as prepared for the combine, just going out there and just showing how athletic I am and how fast I am, and then just proving to them how smart I am on the board and how good I am as a person.
So one more question, talking about competition. You played against a really wealth of really good players in the Big 12. Give me because we focus really on the running back position as far as doing analytics. Give me the best running back you faced in your college career. There's a lot of them, including your teammates.
I think I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to go with all the running backs from OU.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go all and Anderson and the freshman kid, Sermon.
It's amazing what they can put out.
Exactly. I was like, wow, these guys are gonna struggle next year without P. Ryan and Mixon, but
I
they did well.
had a scheme question. So you went from the 3-5 with Strong, and then you went to the 3-4 after that?
It was almost a 3-5 as well too last year. Well, it was kind of a 4-2-5.
Okay. So it's like a multiple front kind of.
Yeah. So our outside backer was a stand-up end / linebacker.
Okay.
So both years really 4-2-5, but this year we took the outside guy and ran a 3-2-6.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. So changing into a hybrid scheme like that, how did you have to change how you saw the field?
So I basically had to know where my help was and know where my fits were, because the problem was, if you get D-line gets pushed or they outnumber us in the box, that's when you have to play big boy ball, and it's a lot harder sometimes because it comes at you faster because they climb on you faster. But you just had to know what gap you were, where your help was, especially Deshaun, because Deshaun was a free roamer, but Deshaun would always be on my outside if I was playing to the field strong side. So I would know that, so I would know where I can leverage a guy outside and then beat him inside.
Just a lot of awareness at all times. Yeah.
Thank you for your time, man.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
How you doing? Aldo. This is UNT. Well, we're both UNT.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Oh, sure.
He's the one that's watched every second of every play of yours. So.
Oh yeah.
I've been very critical.
Okay.
No, you need to be honest with them.
Yeah, let's talk about this last season.
Yeah.
It seems like there was struggles at times. Your team was by team I mean the DBs. The group was labeled pretty good on film. Sure, the stats don't reflect that.
Yeah.
But y'all played better than the stats showed. What was the change that happened between last year and this past season?
It was just a different scheme, I would say. A different scheme the way we played. I would say just this past season we let a lot of big plays happen in the secondary, like over the top plays that we beat ourselves. That was the only difference, I would say. Last year we was kind of on top of those type of plays, but we got beat on big plays that hurt ourselves. So that's the only thing.
When I watch you play, I see that you're really good in coverage when you're assigned like a receiver, especially going across. Do you prefer to be like a free hitter on a running back, or do you prefer to play up on a wide receiver?
It really don't matter to me. I like both. But I kind of we moved on to kind of a man coverage this past season. I kind of grew into that man. I like covering a lot more now. But I feel like I can do it both.
Sure. When you have a positional group like linebacker wasn't as strong as it has been, what do you have to do as both the leader with the DBs and as a safety? What do you have to do to kind of shore up the run defense?
I would just say everybody just know their responsibility and gap. That's what I would kind of preach to my linebackers. Just, hey, where you going before the play. When you see a shift move over, know where you have to be on that just off the movement. So I kind of put that in my guys, my linebackers. But the way you're going, let me know where you're going so I know that you're right. I have them tap the hip or something like that, or tap the D lineman hip. So that's how we kind of move that around.
What do you do to prepare against a team like the difference between Iowa, who runs that pro zone? I think they run the zone, and then against Army. What do you do in terms of processing film, looking at plays?
See, Iowa and Army, they're two different. Like Iowa, they're a basic offense, kind of I formation down the hill offense, So that's pretty simple football. It's old school football. But Army, you have to be more. We play. It's like you have to know. Go back to technique and gaps. Just play your gap. Don't do too much. If you get out of your gap, if you get out of your sound, that will hurt one play. That's what they want. If you give Army 3 yards or 4 yards off one play, that's what they want. They're satisfied with that because all they do is run the ball. So you have to stay in your gap and play. Just play ball and know your assignment right before the play. It's pretty simple, but it's pretty hard at the same time against Army. But you just have to know what you're doing and be in the right place at the right time.
So, with 4 years at North Texas, you played 4 years at North Texas. Was there a team that you enjoyed playing against in the conference?
In the conference, I would say I like playing against Southern Miss. I like Edo Smith. He was a great talent, I would say, for our defense as a team. He's very shifty in the hole, quick, bouncing. So I love playing against him. Me and him would talk a little bit before the game. Just little words to each other. Not bickering. Just hey, good luck, keep going. But yeah, I love playing Southern Miss. I know it was always their talent. Had great receivers out on the outside. They were long receivers. So I love the talent that. Yes, I love the challenge that Southern Miss gave us as receivers, inside, offensive line, quarterback was great as well. So that was an all-around sound team.
When you're attacking on the field, like you're about to tackle somebody like Singletary. Is there a different process that happens?
Like I said, Edo Smith, he's more of a quicker guy, so you got to approach him. You can't stop your feet on him because if you stop your feet, he's gone on you like that. So you just can't stop your feet on anybody really. But him, he's more specific. You got to fly and aim at a certain spot, on him. So that's how I kind of played Edo Smith, and the difference in him, you kind of break down on the other guy, as well. But Edo is more shifty and quick, so he'll get away from you.
Awesome. I think that's all I got. Thank you for sharing.
All right, thank you.
We got the North Texas here. I've just been hiding it.
I like it.
Give us the Go Mean Green.
Take care, man.
Yes, sir,
appreciate it.
Next.
What's up? How's it going?
Corey.
Corey.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, Corey Thomas.
Nice to meet you, man. I'm out.
How y'all doing today?
Pretty good. How about you?
Get out of here and get some work. Yeah, I'm trying to get through a hard week of work.
Yeah, I bet. All right, we're here with Corey Thompson from LSU. I would say I listed him as hybrid safety linebacker, something like that, right?
Whatever you want to call it, man.
Football player,
Yeah,
right?
football player. There we go.
But you have an interesting story, like just forget football. you were a big high school prospect, right, coming out, and then
Somewhat.
Yeah, I would think so. Hey, you'd probably be a little timid. You were a big high school prospect, and then you played in this insanely loaded LSU backfield, right? DBs. I mean, it's Joel Adams. There's a lot of really good talent there. So you're competing against the highest level in college, probably that you're going to compete against the NFL. I mean, the guys that you compete there are the top end of the NFL. Right. So, what was the challenging portion of that as far as going through that and playing with really good players, and not only that, but having two significant injuries that robbed you from a lot?
I think that starting from my freshman year and being able to learn behind Eric Reed and Tyrann Mathieu and all those guys, it really helped me transition from high school to college. I learned a lot of different things. I learned that I couldn't do the same things I did in high school on the next level, because now you have to step up your game. What you got away with back then, you're not going to get away with on the next level. So now I was able to compete with those guys. I played mainly special teams my freshman year. Got in a couple plays on defense in different games my freshman year, and then the next year, my sophomore year, is when I got to start. And I started my first game. I did pretty well. I had a few pass breakups. And I played pretty decently throughout the rest of the season. I ended up getting hurt at the end of that year. So just rehabbing the leg. Skipped my junior year. So I took a red shirt that year. Then I came back my junior year. And I was able to get in rotation. I started a few games. And then another injury happened in camp before my 5th year. But I didn't let that stop me. I just went ahead, went to my 6th year, and was able to just get in there and stay healthy. And now I'm where I'm at.
So that was my next question was there ever a thought that said, I don't want to do this 6 years, I don't want to go back to my 6th year? Was there any thought for that?
Oh yeah, there was definitely a lot of thought to that. The year that I got hurt in camp, towards the end of that year, I started to realize that it wouldn't be a smart idea to try to finish that season, because I'm lacking film now. So I did a lot of thinking, talked to a lot of people, and I ended up making the smartest decision, and that was to come back for my 6th year instead of just coming out, because I didn't want to come back for a 6th year. I was tired of being in school. I was ready in my mind to move on to the next level, but in actuality, I wasn't ready.
What are your thoughts on it? Because there's been other players, not just SEC, but there's been other players from LSU that had, maybe not as much playing time like you did, just due to they got robbed, the injuries robbed them out, but they still make this NFL career out of it because of, like we mentioned, if you look at how many players you played against on your team, of course it was difficult to make the starting lineup, but that doesn't mean that you weren't better than starters for the rest of the SEC, you know what I mean? So it's like, is that something you have to prove yourself to scouts? They're going to ask, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that?
You have to, just tell them the truth. I didn't start some games because of this or that. They're going to ask you, but when they ask you how you're feeling now, as long as you're healthy, you're good. And to those guys that didn't necessarily get to play as much during their college career that took off in the NFL, I believe that a lot of people have a lot of talent that either they didn't understand how to unlock, or they just weren't in the best position, for whatever reason. So, everybody has potential. You never know how you might.
I really appreciate your time, and I think you have a good head. Really do appreciate that. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Take it easy.
How's it going? Nice to meet you. Devonta Harris.
Hi, I'm Adam.
Yes, sir.
Nice to
How's
meet
it
you.
going?
Good. Yes, sir. Illinois State.
Yes, sir.
A lot of cornerbacks here.
Yeah, pretty deep here at corner. Yeah. Pretty deep here at DB, which is a good thing because you're competing with guys that you're going to be competing with
Sure.
at the combine.
Might as well find out where you sit right now,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're here with Devontae Harris from Illinois State. He's a quarterback here at APEC, getting ready for the NFL. He got his combine invite. That has been exciting, right?
Yep, definitely.
I mean, there's not a lot of people who are getting that, and just people here really that you would have thought surely would have got it.
Yeah.
Maybe Puna, and
Yeah,
didn't get
exactly.
it. So it's not everybody doesn't get it. That maybe really thought that they could.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
it's an opportunity. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
So here at APEC, and we're trying to, like we mentioned, we're competing against a lot of really good DBs here. How do you think that you fit in, coming from a smaller school to competing with some of the guys that are here from bigger schools?
Honestly, I think I just fit in really well. I think it's the perfect spot for me in a perfect position because it pushes me. You mean in areas that I know that I'm good at, like those guys trying to compete to get better at those areas. In the areas that I'm not as good at is where I definitely have to push, and I try and compete with those guys to fix those flaws. So pretty much the flaws that I have, I can correct them with the people around me if they're good at those things that I'm not good at. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have this interesting dynamic where a lot of the scouts and stuff that I've talked to, they like your film. They really like your film, and they love everything that you put out on that.
Yeah.
But they have a question of deep speed,
Yep.
which is understandable. I think all small schools players get that, even though it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that you're slow because you go to a small school.
Exactly.
But I don't see you getting beat deep. So where are we at on thinking of what we're going to run the 40 and improving your speed?
Yeah. So the biggest thing for me right now is really trying to focus on technique and honestly for me, I'm just on the road to prove people wrong and prove myself right. I know that I'm going to run fast, and the goal is to run fast, and I'm just going to prove and make that happen.
So what are your thoughts on since you are a combine invite, of people putting so much emphasis on one day of work and 12 drills, whatever it might be, 12, 15 drills that you do attempt versus an entire 4-year career?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the process, honestly. Those are type of things that you wish you could change, and you wish that they'd focus solely on your production over the course of however many years you play college ball. But at the end of the day, that's the beauty of the beach. It's something that you gotta work through and figure out, and it's one of those things for me is I think that I'm a really good athlete, and I think I'm a decent athlete. So in this area, it actually helps me out because I have production on the field, and I could actually produce at the combine as well and put up numbers that they probably won't think that I will put up.
So, and speaking of numbers, you had 37 passes defended for the last 3 seasons. That's a lot of passes defended, and it brings me to my point that playing on the field, you look athletically explosive, but you're also patient and smart. When you're out there seeing the field, defending a pass, like what goes into defending a receiver? What's your approach to that training?
Yeah, so it really depends on who I'm playing against. You mean their characteristics? You mean if they're big, they're small, if they're quick, if they have long speed, if their speed is deceptive. So it all kind of plays in on who I'm going against, because not everyone I'm going to press the same, not everyone I'm going to play off to, you know what I mean? And so really like bigger guys, I'm probably going to barely move my feet, and I'm just going to be really aggressive at the line and get hands on them because they have a bigger body presence, and it's more area for me to get my hands on. If it's a smaller, quicker guy, then I'm probably going to motor mirror, and I'm just going to move my feet and just try and mirror the route and stay on top of the route and try and make the play at the top of the route, or try and use my body presence to kind of throw off their timing for the route. So
I appreciate your time.
Yeah, cool.
Good luck to you, man.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Process,
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, I looked and so on the combine thing, on the weaknesses it said very average athlete. Hey, and I looked, I'm like,
man, I tell you,
Talk about it.
I just think that so much goes
that
into.
what?
Go ahead and talk about it. What you feel and
oh,
I just think that so much. Personally, I think way too much emphasis is going to go into combine whenever you have good film. And like I mentioned, I've seen people talk about, okay, he didn't have top end speed, and he's going to get beat deep in the pros.
Yeah.
But competition, but I don't see you getting beat. It's one of those things. It's like you may tell me something's going to happen, but I see what I see on film, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, this is one of those things. Is really when I saw the analysis. You mean when it happens, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. It's one of those things that you sit back and you have to reflect and be like, okay, maybe this game I can see where you got that, but over the overall production, you're like, I don't see where they saw that. So for me, my initial reaction was like, man, like they think I'm an average athlete, and then a couple minutes later, I'm like, think I'm an average athlete. You know what I mean? You mean so like yeah. So like, that actually was a positive thing for me in a sense that I know differently. So like in my mind, the way I equate it is if that's the only weakness that they can come up with, and I can prove them wrong against that, then they really don't have anything against me. You mean so that kind of they put one of my strengths in the weakness section, which is a positive thing for me, because when I go out there and prove that I am this athlete that they consider me not to be, then it kind of changes the game.
And one thing I would tell you is use it as motivation for sure,
Yeah.
but realize that whoever's watching the film of you,
Yeah.
you know, before combine,
Yeah.
more than likely they've only seen, let's say, 3 games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it may
of
have been
course.
one game
Of
where
course.
you had this
Yeah.
3 bad
Exactly.
plays. And
Exactly.
who doesn't have those bad plays?
Exactly.
So
yeah, because you can play corner and you could have
It's the island position, man.
Yeah,
You look
exactly.
bad.
Like you can have a great game. You get one ball caught on you at the wrong time, and like in the mind of the people watching, oh, he had a terrible game. He didn't play well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if a wide receiver disappears for a little bit in the
Yeah,
game,
you like-
there's
Who cares?
no problem. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, no, just one of those things, and within this process, especially after you get drafted, when things go wrong, you're gonna have this entire fan base who are going to be against you when things are going right. So, honestly, it's kind of going through this process. You have to build your mentality to fight through those things and use those things as motivation, and to continue to use that as motivation. So what I went ahead and did, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna make it a screensaver. So every time every time I flip over this phone,
Excellent.
I'm like, very average. Okay, so today I'm gonna prove, or I'm gonna take a step towards being great. So that's kind of my mindset and my approach towards it.
And well, at the combine, there's going to be a lot of people going back and looking at way
Yeah.
more than 3 games of film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then they'll find out the truth.
Exactly.
Good luck to you, man.
Cool,
Really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you. Yep. Yep.
How'd you Madam?
Just gonna pull up our notes.
Oh, Murray. Okay. Yes.
Murray State.
Wait for you, Murray State. Yes.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite people we have. I mean, honestly, you got a great film too, for sure. All right, we have Demontre Wade from Murray State. He's a cornerback, and honestly, he's a guy that's the buzz on him seems to be pretty hot right now. He's a smaller school guy that anytime you have a smaller school guy that shows that he's going to be in the combine for one and gets the invite, and people start to go look and see, well, why was he there? Why is he getting an invite? And then they go back and look at film, and I think a lot of talent evaluators are thinking right now that you're going to go probably a lot higher than what we thought about 2 months ago, when a lot of people didn't even know really who we were just in the school. So talk me through that process of getting notoriety on a national level that maybe you didn't get before. What does that feel like?
It's a great feeling. Coming out of high school, a lot of people don't know this, but I didn't play corner at all. I was a running back coming out of high school.
Okay.
So first coming in at Murray State, my coach told me he was gonna redshirt me. Had to go through that process. Great process. Learned the defense, learned the game, and then from there started 4 years, and then just been working on that, and it got me to where I am today.
So what was the Senior Bowl experience like? Going to Mobile for the week and getting to compete against a lot of top end talent and seeing where you matched up. What was that like?
Senior Bowl was a great experience. Met new friends. It was great just talking to scouts, coaches, just being around the NFL coaching staff. I mean, it felt the same like me playing against any other receiver in OVC. It just some was bigger, stronger, faster, but I had the ability to keep up and make plays out there.
So the good thing about the Senior Bowl, like you mentioned, is you get NFL head coach experience.
Yes, sir.
What were some of the things that the NFL coaches were telling you to go back here, like at APEC, and work on?
They didn't really give me no cues to go work on, but just from my experience out there, just keep working on my technique at corner, just keep developing, just being more confident in myself.
Okay. So when I was looking through your stats, and I called you an interception machine. You had interception almost every game this past season, and multiple interception games as well. There's cornerbacks that get interceptions. There's cornerbacks that don't. Is that like a scheme thing? Is that like just an innate ability that you have to know when to turn around or know when to attack?
My interceptions, I mean, some of them was a football guide, but just studying film, some plays I knew that was coming my way, and just making plays on the ball. I mean, I worked on my hands. I worked on my hands all summer. It was something I had to work on. I had better ball skills, and it showed my senior season.
Okay.
Look at Demontre, thank you for your time, man. Appreciate it. Good luck in the process.
Thank you.
Hey, good luck, man.
All right, D.
Oh, okay.
Basil Jackson.
Hazel, yeah.
Basil Jackson. Nice to meet you.
Okay, we're with Basil Jackson from Tarleton State. Local kid around here, right? So it's pretty cool to be back in Fort Worth. Where did you grow up in high school?
I went to Arlington Seguin.
Oh, okay.
So I spent a little time at Bowie whenever I was kind of doing like some JV and freshman stuff, but I ended up finishing my career with Coach Carlos Lynn at Seguin.
Okay, yeah, so you're definitely local. Now, one thing I saw in you is, man, you are, once again, kind of like before with Traven, you're a tackling machine. 122 tackles in 10 games.
Oh, geez.
For those that don't know, I mean,
In one season.
I played linebacker too. Going at 12 tackles per game is a pretty ridiculous rate. So is this something that, you know, do you keep track of that in your head of how many tackles you're having per game? Is that something you think about?
I know going into the season, I wanted to break the school record. I believe it was like 175 or something like that. And then kind of as we went along, I kind of just wanted to have as many tackles as I needed for us to win, doing whatever I could to help our defense out. But I know once we got a little further along in the season, my coaches kind of let me know like where I was in the nation and stuff, and so that was a pretty cool thing to go out on. Pretty good note to end on.
So what's do you know the number that's the highest for one game that you had?
I had 17. I think it was the second game of the year, so it's pretty cool.
So coming here to APEC and coming back home and getting to compete against some high-end athletes here, how do you feel that you've competed against them on a day-to-day basis here?
I think I competed pretty well. I went to Trinity Valley Community College, and so we had guys like Devontae Fields, Gerard Evans, Jamal Wilds, who's with the New England Patriots now, and so I've been competing with those guys for quite some time. And, maybe going to a Division II school, we don't have as much depth as some of the bigger schools do, so it's pretty awesome to be here and get to actually compete and see that I can really hold my own like I believed I could. So it's been a pretty good experience. It's been pretty awesome.
Good.
Now, did you have a field goal return touchdown?
Yes, I had one in high school, I believe.
Okay, I was going through your tape.
Okay, yeah, it was like 105 or 108 yards,
Yeah,
something like that.
so you got it in the end zone. I don't know if the field goal was tipped or anything, but it's just a fun question. How does it feel to get one field goal return in such a long one as well?
It was
tiring.
It was very tiring. I'm sure if you saw the tape, I kind of laid there on the ground.
Yeah, right at the end.
My senior year, I only played 5 games, so whenever I came back, I was a little out of shape, and playing every snap, almost everything was rough, but I wouldn't trade it. I enjoy playing football. It's what I love to do. I've been doing it since I was 7.
So one question I'd ask you is, how far down the path are you willing to go on this? Let's just say, draft comes and we don't go there, and then the RFA portion comes up and we don't go there. Are we willing to go to Canada? Because this is something I've always thought of. Where do you make the decision on professional environment? So there's other options besides the NFL. I mean, CFL has outstanding players. So where do you make that? Where's that line come when you're making a determination of what you're going to do in life? Are you willing to take that path or what?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think a lot of people who may not know my story don't know. I've had a lot of injuries, and some things like that, some bumps along the way and stuff like that. And I just stay persistent and stay with it. So it's a blessing for me to be where I am now. So, I don't see myself turning off this path anytime soon. I'd go to Germany, I'll go to Canada, wherever they're playing football, and I can get compensated for it. I'm definitely willing to do it. And I have a master's degree in my back pocket, so that's something that I can fall back on, but I don't plan on using that right now. So.
Well, Basil, thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it. Good luck in your
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
Master's degree already.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good luck to you, man.
Business man.
All right, baby. All right.
Oh, Kiki came back.
Pat left. He had to go.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, that's right. All right, so just a quick pause. We won't break the stream. We've got, or maybe we will. We'll break the stream and then we'll have Kiki Kuti coming back.
Long day for you guys, huh?
Where'd you play?
Arkansas State.
Okay.
Red
Yeah,
one.
I'm glad you're here. I want to talk about CFL just in general.
Okay.
You get a lot of that. It's like, I don't know why people don't do it more often. I don't understand. It's like, go down that path. Do you want to get started?
Not yet. Hold on.
talk to you.
Live, but I don't have a link. Kendall, what was his last name?
Sanders,
Sanders. What position?
receiver. I also play DB too, though.
Okay. And currently you're
With Toronto Argonauts.
Argonauts. Here we go.
Ready? Go. Okay, we're with Kendall Sanders from Arkansas State and the Toronto Argonauts, and he's in a good position with some of the guys that are here as far as going through this process before, right? So now you're back at APEC and trying to get better, and like we mentioned, he's in the CFL. So what was the process going through getting prepped for NFL and then that not happening, but making the decision to go to the CFL route?
Well, really, it boils down like, what do you really want to do? Like, it's a test factor if you really love football or not. Because a lot of guys, especially from like America, we think like, all right, we don't make it to the NFL, then it's over with. But it's not, because it's still professional football. Still, it's great competition because people that was in the NFL and not currently in the NFL, they go to CFL to get better and to get more film. So you're competing against the best from Canada and from America. But but really you just have to trust the process and not give up. That's the biggest thing. That's what it boils down to.
Right, and so like the one question I want to ask a lot of the guys here, but you don't want to talk about it because they have the NFL dream ready to go, right? They're focused only on that, and they don't realize, like you said, there's other opportunities. Is, you know, if you really step back and thought about it, would it be better to play 1, maybe 2 years on a practice squad of the NFL with no chance of going forward because you're not getting any tape, all you're getting is practice, or go to the CFL route, play, compete, make money, and then get film out, right? Get actual NFL, actual film against people competing.
That's a tricky question right there, Adam. Both being on practice squad or just going to the CFL and get film. That's great options. I mean, you still get paid as a practice player as in the NFL, but it just depends on what you need though, like certain or what the team needs. Because like a lot of NFL teams that bring in extra bodies just to use them up, that'd still be a great situation too. But it all boils down what your situation is. And I know for me, I can only speak for me. I can't speak for the rest of the people, but for me, I know that I need to get more film because I didn't have a lot of film at Arkansas State. So I know I need to get more film. So in order to do that, I have to go to the CFL. So, and then I was fortunate enough to be with the Toronto Argonauts, and they just won the Grey Cup here in 2017. And I get there, I'm getting professional coaches. Mark Trestman is my head coach, great guy. He just welcomed me in with open arms. I came in late in the season with the team, and they just taught me how to be a professional, like the West Coast offense, because the stuff I didn't learn in college, I'm learning now in the CFL, and I like it. And then I'm just competing with the best from both countries, and it's a blessing, honestly.
So one thing on the CFL is, at what point it play really well, right? And now you have all this great. You have NFL come talk to you. At what point do you make the determination of you're going to stay in CFL and forfeit basically that year, or cut ties and go to the NFL? That's a difficult process. I mean, that's a tricky situation.
It
because
is.
of the way that we have the rules set up.
It really is. It's a tricky but I think, me personally, I think it boils down on what your situation is. Like in the CFL, you're guaranteed to do 2 years. So you already know that going in. You have to do 2 years. You can forfeit, and I have some friends that's forfeit their second year in CFL to wait for the NFL. But it all boils down to them. Me personally, I'm gonna spend both of my years there, gather the film, soak up as much information I can, be the best receiver I can. Try to get my DB skills up to part 2. I want to be able, because when I come back over here to the NFL, I want to stick. I don't want to be one of those guys that just bounce around. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure everything, all my footwork, all my routes, all my hands, anything that I need, just studying more film.
anything that can make me better, I want to take advantage of that right now and use this opportunity as that.
Sounds like on the right path, man. Kendall, thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
All right, appreciate it.
Come out. Nice to meet you.
Got some hard-hitting questions.
We have a hard-hitting question for you right off the bat from someone here. Messing with you.
Maybe.
All right, here we go. So we're here with Keke Cooney from Texas Tech, wide receiver coming into the NFL Combine here pretty soon and getting prepared here at APEC. Talk about, before we get into that, just the process of choosing APEC as the person that you're going to work through and what they're helping you to get prepared for at the Combine.
This was just a place that was close to home, not too far, 3 hours. But, this is a tremendous gym. Patrick Mahomes came here last year, so he's my quarterback. So he kind of filled me in on it. It was a great gym. Came and looked and fell in love with the staff, and they even have MLB players in here. They're at the top of their game. So I would say it's one of the best gyms around. They're helping us in every way we can. So we're thankful for all this.
You're again, like a few other people here that are in a unique situation where you go on the Combine and you have this one. You have several devastating abilities, but you have one that everybody always points to. That's the speed.
Right.
So, what's your thoughts on putting so much emphasis on, 2 attempts at the 40, as far as making the make or break of where you go in the draft?
As you said, the 40 is make or break for me at this point. People want to know how fast I am, so I place a lot of emphasis on it since I've been here working out. Just tweaking things here and there, and I still am now, just to get better. And Bobby here, his staff is doing a great job. So I'll say I have a lot of emphasis on that because I'm really banking on that at the Combine to show how fast I really am, and hopefully, they'll get me off the board even sooner.
So before we came here, looking at film, clearly had you as A+ on speed. There's no doubt about it. But the word on the street from Ratley is that he's faster than you.
Right, yeah, I know, yeah, he's in my group.
He's not just saying it, he believes it. I can see it in his face.
He's, Bradley's a fast guy as well. We were in the same group, so we kind of pump each other up and just make each other better. But, but once the Combine comes around and Pro Day comes around, we're actually going to see, because we're a little wore down right now. So when we get a little fresh, we're actually going to see who's faster. So
especially because it goes beyond that.
Right.
It's do it anymore, but A&M and Tech, they're still rivals.
Right.
I don't care if they're not playing each other or not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I got a best friend that goes to A&M as well, so we always talk. So, once that time comes around, we'll actually see.
Well, you got a teammate. He's not here today, but Cantrell.
Correct.
You've got different speed. You're extremely fast, but you've got explosiveness, quickness. He's got the long speed on the outside. It's underrated. You're watching him, and he's a big, lanky kid.
Yeah.
But when you watch his film, man, he's beating guys. Can you talk about the difference between those? Like, explain to people what's the difference between that long speed versus a guy like his who's got that explosiveness?
Being a small guy, 5'9" guy, I have a lot more power to come out more faster. Dylan being a bigger guy who's 220 and every bit of muscle, he's a little stronger, so it's going to take him a little bit longer to get going, but he'll have the same amount of strength as me, but it'll just be in longer steps. So that'll just be the difference between a smaller guy and a bigger guy in Cantrell's size. A faster guy is going to be a little quicker, but a bigger guy is going to take a little slower, but he's eventually going to get there, and his momentum is going to carry him through the race.
So I'd say a very similar player to you for just comp-wise, coming last year was John Ross, right? Because he's blazing fast and runs routes really well like you do and put up monster stats. Is that something you see that's viable to have that type of comparison? Right,
yes, correct. He's the guy. I watched him in college when he came out, and he ran an amazing 40. So if I can do something like that, that'll be tremendous. So, I kind of watch those guys right now. I watch his 40 and how he got out, but he wasn't even really running. He still ran 4.22. So that's just God's speed right there. Correct.
I'm done.
So if I have a good day like that, it'll be truly a blessing.
So one more question. So now that Pat's here and Pat's starting in KC, right? So are we telling him that, KC needs a receiver?
Right, yeah. I don't talk to him too much about that because, Pat's a guy that he doesn't like the spotlight. He likes to chill a lot. So, but I'm sure in the time, because I'll tell him.
They need a receiver.
Yeah, I'll let him know. I'll be tell him about it. We play together. So if I get to play with Pat again, that'll be great.
So Are you somebody that would peg yourself as and I'm not like pigeonholing you, but would you peg yourself more as like a slot like A or Y type receiver, or you think you can go outside to the extra Z?
I played outside in college as well my first year, so that really helped me a lot. I played slot in high school, but when I got there my first year, I played outside and transitioned back inside. So that was a great transition for me to learn how to play the outside receiver and see how different it is from the slot receiver position. Because the slots, you have a little more time, you can do whatever, be more creative. But on the outside, you don't have that much time, and those guys are on you like that. So that was a great transition for me. And for me, I feel like I can play both outside and inside. So I hope that'll be something that teams can see.
So that brings up a good point, like the difference between an outside receiver and an inside receiver in terms of technique, like feet and hands. Right. Is it worlds different, or is there a lot of similarities?
I mean, it's a lot of similarities, but the thing is just the pace of it. A slot guy, he's going to probably be a smaller guy. He's going to get the areas faster, and the big guy's going to take him a little longer, work a little routes and things. Similarities, but just. Right. Yeah, some teams, kind of press.
Thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Where'd you go to high school?
Lufkin.
Okay. It's relatively local.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good luck to you, man.
Thank y'all again.
Appreciate it.
You man, good looking out, bro. See you tomorrow.
I'm J.O.
Yeah.
What's up?
I'm J.O.
J.O.?
Yes. Jonathan Owens.
Oh, Jonathan Owens. Okay.
Yeah. Everybody calls me J.O.
Or just J.O. as everyone else.
J.O.
Yeah.
Missouri Western, yeah.
The J.O.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Go ahead.
We're with Jonathan Owens from Missouri Western. He's a safety getting ready for, once again, his NFL process here at APEC. And we're going to talk to him about being versatile, because that's the one thing I wrote down for you on your film is, and you play everywhere. I wrote down you were good in 2 deep, you're in single high, you're in box, you're man up at the goal line, you do punt returns, and you did everything. So talk about that process at Missouri Western and how you got to that.
Well, it's a Division II school, and coming out of high school, I never would have thought that I would have went to a D2. I was always, big D1. Sure. That's where I have to do. But going into my senior year, I had a couple of Division I schools looking at me, Indiana, Western Illinois, smaller D1s, and they just kind of fell off. And I had a coach. He's our running back coach. He played running back at Missouri Western.
Okay.
And he just ended up telling me, he was like, man, you too good for us, for teams not to be looking at you. So I'm gonna call the coach, and coach ended up coming up to my school, and I went there, and they have a beautiful indoor facility. It's great, and I had never seen anything like that before. It's a full football field, all the meeting rooms and everything in there. The Chiefs have summer camp up there, so they built it. So as you would think, it comes to NFL standards and all. So just coming from St. Louis, I kind of saw that. I always knew that I didn't want to go to school there. I kind of wanted to get away. And they paid for my school. I told my mom, I made a promise to her that she would never have to pay for me to go to college. And, they gave me the opportunity to do that. So
it's interesting to even hear you say that, because that's a similar situation to what I went through, where I went the other direction. Mm-hmm. So I was a highly recruited player and then got hurt and then decided that I was too good to go to a smaller school, which didn't make any sense. And then you try to rehab and then it doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. So what do you say, because there's going to be a lot of kids that watch that I know for sure that follow us that in high school and trying to get to that level of, hey, you know what, humble yourself and realize that not everybody can get into Alabama, right?
Yeah.
There's only so many people, and just because you go to a smaller school doesn't mean you're a lesser athlete. You just didn't get found, right? Mm-hmm. Someone didn't find you at the right time. So we talked about that because there's gonna be a lot of kids that see that and see that as an experience that they can relate to.
And pretty much, it's just if you can play, you can play. It doesn't matter where you go. If you're good enough, people are gonna find you. And they told me coming in, they're like, okay, we're probably gonna redshirt you, but after that, it's your spot for 4 years. So you got 4 years of film. And my school, we have our own pro day. The Chiefs are right around the corner, so it's a lot of exposure there. And we have guys go to the league from my school all the time. So scouts are, my senior year, I had scouts at all of my practices, watching the games, watching my film. So I got the same opportunity as those guys from bigger schools. They just get more exposure because they're playing on TV, But it kind of humbles you and gives you a chip on your shoulder because you're like, well, I have to go in here and prove myself. And that was kind of what I was thinking coming into APEC. I was like, okay, I know I'm going to probably be here with you know, guys from Power 5 schools and all that, and they probably never heard of my school. I know they haven't. So I just come here every day with a chip on my shoulder, knowing that I have to work just as hard, if not harder, than those guys so that I can stand out.
Right. So that's a good point because as far as just the talent level of the people here, I would say that the wide receiver and DB group is probably the best. Right. That's where I would say the most abundance of talent. There's top end talent at every position, but there's a lot of talent here at receiver and DB. Where do you feel that you fit in now that you've been here for a little bit to the other guys that may be more recognizable than you got here?
I feel like if people come in here and watch the workouts, they would see that they probably wouldn't have guessed that I came from a Division II school. Yeah. Right. Like they probably wouldn't have guessed, just knowing, you know, I can lift whatever they lift, jump as high with the best, you know, and I'm running just as fast as everybody else. Yeah, it's no difference, you know, it's just the name on my helmet. That's all, that's pretty much the only difference it is. So it just does, it kind of gives me extra motivation to keep going and work harder because I know I have to prove myself.
So I've got written down that you're on my notes that you're a hard hitter. I mean, you hit pretty hard, and it's fun to watch you play. Now, is that like, and it's more about like a general question, is it more about like, hey, this is a job I have to do, I got to go hit that guy because he's got the football? Or is it more like, this is really fun and he knows what's going to happen and I want to hit him really hard?
I just, I get a weird thrill from that feeling that you get when you hit somebody and they on the ground and you kind of look over them.
Yeah.
I just like, I love that feeling, but I know that once you get in the league, you can't, some of those hits that I had on my film, I know I'm not going to be able to do that in the league, you know, because they'll fine you. But I just knew, my coach told me, he said, you know, we're going to put you at free safety, run the alley, don't let nobody get past you, and if you see somebody, hit them. So that's kind of how I played.
So when you're playing out there, is it more of like, as you're seeing the field, is it, you have these assigned gaps or these assigned zones that you need to hit, or is the play developing? And
pretty much, we played a lot of cover one, so I was just the high safety at the top, so I was free to roam. Whenever it was a run, I just kind of got in where I fit in. You know, I look for a crease, I read where the running back is going, and I try to beat them to the hole. So before they see me, I can get a hit on them, so they can't get a chance to brace themselves. And I had a couple hits like that where I made the running back fumble because he didn't even see me coming, so he didn't get a chance to really brace the ball and everything.
One thing I always tell people that, you know, maybe not have the playing experiences, you probably back this up too, is whenever you deliver the big hit, generally I don't even remember feeling it. Like there's no feeling. It doesn't hurt. There's nothing to it. But it's always receiving the hit where it really hurts. But you lay these monster hits that like, even Ronnie Lott would give out, right? I guarantee he'd probably tell you that it didn't even feel giving the hit. It just popped right back up.
It's
you didn't
just
have any thought.
your adrenaline is going so hard. You know, once you hit him and you know you hit him hard, it's just like a feeling where. Cause it probably hurt. It probably hurt me too, just from hitting them, you know.
Right?
But I wouldn't feel it till after the game. You know, the adrenaline's going, and you just get up. All your teammates come around you, and it's just a great feeling.
Well, even then, like if you're a receiver and you get hit, you know, if you get popped real hard, it's somebody's fault. It's either the quarterback or your fault that you don't have enough awareness and you're not trying to change the angle of the hit. So you know, there's a little bit of.
I've gotten hit before on punt return. You know,
that's the worst.
Yeah.
Those teams the worst hit.
Yes. I don't know. We had no one else to do punt return on the team. I played receiver in high school, so I told coach, I was like, shoot, I can catch. I'll go back there. You know, I'll go have the ball in my hands, and it was just another thing to be on the field doing. And
we'll good luck to you, Jonathan.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you,
man. Thank you. All right, so I think that's it for us today. We ran through all those guys. Hope you enjoyed it. We're signing off. RV Scout, there's Adam.
Take care, guys.
And I'm Aldo. Love you guys.
You too, man. Appreciate it.